I have the privilege of introducing to you all Masami Teraoka, whose work is surrounding us now. He will talk about this particular group of work, but he will also talk about a much larger body of work that he has been making recently in a lecture that he will do later on this week. But just for today, we'll have a half-an-hour floor talk, which we will repeat at 4:15, because there are always many people who would like to hear the artist speak. So Masami, over to you.
Already?
Already.
Okay. Well, my feet are shaking, as you can see. You know what I mean. Anyway, I think this is going to be a pretty brief sort of explanation or talk about my work. So I'm going to sort of walk through from that piece to going around this way, and so if you don't mind, I'll just go walk. Oh, mic, yeah. Anyway, so I'm still walking, so my legs are pretty okay now. This piece is part of A's series, and it's called American Kabuki Oishiwa. And Oishiwa is like in Osaka style language, dialect. It means like something very delicious. And when I was thinking about A's as my theme, A's is like something very, it touches the sexuality. Human sexuality is pretty much something delicious to my mind. You may not agree with me, but that's the way I sort of conceive the sexuality. And so this piece is called Kabuki, American Kabuki, which is like referring to A's, which started like, if I'm not mistaken, first sort of encounter with the A's issue was like early 80s. But then nobody knew what it's all about. But in the mid-80s, definitely doctors found out that this particular illness is called AIDS. And first person that I encountered who was contracted AIDS, friend of mine's baby who was about 1 year old. And she told me at this noisy restaurant in New York, she said, Masami, my daughter's head is leaning toward backward, and just because she's ill. And then she contracted AIDS by blood transfusion. And I was quite taken by that whole incident, and I thought I should be able to express some, fear about AIDS, and also the mother's experience about having baby who contracted AIDS. And in this painting, actually, while the mother is holding the baby, the mother is holding the baby and trying to get help. And she's trying to reach somebody who would help them out. But since they are standing in the very rough sea, nobody can hear they are looking for help. So the writing here it's not really decorative writing. It's called the Joe Rudy style writing, which started in like 1600. And later on in Edo period, they used this particular type of writing for Kabuki play narrators. So the narrators who sing story with the samisen player, and it's all written in this type of calligraphy. So I was fascinated by the way visual effect of the calligraphy looks. And also, I wanted to find out what, this Kabuki book says. So I just studied by my own way, and it took a good 15 years to be able to read some of the original writing. And since this is going to be pretty brief, I'm going to move on to the next one. And sorry. Okay. Okay. This composition is called Samurai Jugger, and the idea that I wanted to express in this composition is like Japanese people who dress like Western people, and basically they look like Westernized people. But when you really get to know them, quite often I found that they think pretty much a Japanese way. So this samurai could mean that a Japanese man who still think in terms of very conventional Japanese attitude, but he's trying to replace his old zori. Here's a rice straw sandals, and he's replacing with Nike shoes. So the idea here is it's almost like Western civilization and a culture of capitalism invading Tokyo, and Tokyo people in old style, anything sort of being replaced by Western merchandise. So that's sort of idea here. And this woman is also trying to replace Geta shoes here with more, contemporary, maybe tennis shoes or something. And this man who is trying to do something, this is a sort of typical scene you might not even catch if you never have been to Japan. But if you kind of, waiting for a train, and train station, quite often a Japanese businessman standing on the platform and then doing like this kind of motion, or this kind of motion. It's baseball motion or golf playing motion. So in this case, he's doing golf style that he's still thinking in terms of instead of having a nice bath, he's thinking about playing golf. And here's most expensive land in Tokyo. It's a Ginza area. But the way I kind of depict it is like street lanterns are replaced by perhaps Edo-style, old-style lanterns, which I think that Japan eventually every aspect of Japanese culture seems to be influenced by American culture, and if they don't keep their things together, eventually they would lose everything for Western, almost like homogenizing culture. That's what I'm trying to say in this painting. And you can see the bullet train over this billboard. And the billboard, if you take a close look, geisha, who is actually representing Japanese woman, old-style Japanese woman, is watching aerobic dance, aerobic exercise, you can see. So the way I'm depicting a social issue is something that people can recognize, or relate to really easily. But then the message that I'm trying to convey in my painting is that something that, cultural reference. That's sort of like, my concern from my early work to up to until now. This painting is called A series / Geisha in Bath. I don't even have to tell you what the title means. I mean, that's the way it is, right? I mean, Geisha in Bath, and she is saying that, oh, okay, I get ready for my evening with my boyfriend. So she started opening a condom, and then she realized, oh, by the way, this is the export size, which goes to America, and unfortunately, my boyfriend wouldn't be able to use it. And so that's what it says. And at the end of the monologue, it says, to condom is flying away. And in Japanese, when things, actually, no, Japanese woodblock print, especially when you are looking at erotic theme, Japanese woodblock print, usually the writings or stories ends up with something describing sexual activity with a sound effect. In this case, again, I'm using the same sort of convention, saying that condoms are flying away. So flying away could be going. And then when I translate going into American terms, it means coming. So that sexually, I'm coming. But in Japanese, we are going. And I have a hard time to adjust to this particular, cultural difference because we come. Well, we don't come. We go. I mean, I'm sure if you have Japanese boyfriend and girlfriends, you can ask if what I'm saying is correct. I mean, I've been in the States for 40 years, so Japanese might have evolved to something else by now. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay. This composition is also part of A series, and if I'm not mistaken, actually, I cannot remember the subtitle. It says Black Ships and Geisha. And so here, so many geisha people, I feel like A's perhaps, going to Japan eventually. When I was painting this, we are talking in America that we have lots of AIDS issues. But then around 1986, I don't think Japan had the same issue then. But eventually I thought in Japan, so many businessmen go out to Asia or abroad, and then they have all sorts of sexual activities abroad, and then they would come back to home and then bring perhaps AIDS back. So that kind of reality would be happening eventually. And so although Japan didn't have much of AIDS patient around that time, 1986, but I figured it's going to happen. So this is one of the painting that the front, the immediate people who would be facing the AIDS issue would be geisha. That's what I have in mind. And this black ship is sort of like haunting image of capitalism, where American, whenever they want to have a trade with other country, they come with a boat and the guns and everything. And the black ship, as you are familiar with, in Japanese history, I think several black ships came to Japan in the end of Edo period, and they wanted to have a trade exchange in Japan and America. And Japan was trying to sort of protect their own territory, and that they were not really willing to open her country to America. But then when they saw the 3 black ships and then a bunch of guns, they were totally scared. Then trade relationship started. I mean, I can see Iraq war is the same way. Somebody from America goes to Iraq and then trying to do oil trade, and it miserably failed because of the Bush is kind of a strange person. Anyway, I don't want to get into political problem here, but anyway, I'm going to move on to here. And it's probably already 15 minutes, right? Yeah? Okay. When I moved to Hawaii, this was like 1980, and I was not able to swim. When I was 13 years old, I was almost drowned. And then while I was drowning, I said, I'm only 13 years old, and I haven't done anything wrong. So how come, I'm chosen to die, in this water? I said, okay, best way out for this, being drowned would be perhaps I have to swallow the entire ocean so the ocean will be dry, so I can walk out. And I started drinking, and I said, oh no, this is ridiculous. I cannot do that. And by the time I swallowed so much of the salt water, I said, no, this is no way. No, that doesn't work. And then I gave up for the first time, and I opened my eyes, and the sun was above me. And I said, oh, okay, that probably means that I should try to, get the help. So I was kind of trying to push myself above the water, and then I saw 2 of my friends who were looking for me saw me for the first time. I was drowning. And so as long as, they saw me, I think I thought I was going to be saved. So I said, the next thing I should do to these guys when they come to pick me up, I said, I should be relaxed and then give all my hands to them. So I didn't really, drown them. And so I learned, I didn't get drowned, but when I moved to Hawaii, as you know, the ocean in Hawaii is so friendly. It's beautiful, warm water, and then it's a turquoise blue. So, if you are living there, it's almost like a shame that you cannot swim. So definitely, I taught myself how to swim. And then the way, I started seeing the water sort of changed too. When I depict waves, my waves has almost like a soft fingers, almost like caressing fingers, rather than a lot of Hokusai famous, wave masters drawings, as you are familiar with. His crest and then waves have angular finger-like shapes, whereas I don't feel that way about the water. So that mine is much more soft and playing piano kind of, waves. That's the way I feel. So after I learned how to swim, these are sort of much more friendly-looking, to me, friendly-looking waves. And actually, everyone who, trying to express themselves, anything you draw actually reflects what you're thinking. And then in this case, I feel very much of water is now my friend. And I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay. these Japanese snorkeler and Japanese snorkeler with octopus. This is pretty much a conventional erotic theme in Japan that Edo period, many woodblock print masters worked on the same theme. And I wanted to see how I would interpret the same theme in today's context. And so Japanese woman came to Hawaii as a tourist, and she has a snorkeler, and then this woman with a tattoo, with a snorkeler, and the way octopus, or this could be, I think this is a squid actually, and the octopus, well, squid seems to be very sleepy expression here. And anyway, now when you take a look, really close look at here, these little, what do you call that? Beaker? What do you call that? Tube. What do you call it? It's, I'm sorry? Fire? It's a blood. It's it's a rubbish that a hospital throw away into the ocean. When I did this one, I heard New York hospital threw a bunch of needles and the tubes, which had a contaminated material, syringe type of thing, into the ocean. So here, something drifted from New York to Hawaii, and it's just polluting the ocean. So there are some way that you can always, see some clue that I'm, interested in. Commercial product is always sort of invading our environment today, and that's part of my sort of a theme too. And I'm going to move on to this one. Now, after I learned how to swim, I became a good swimmer that I wish I could swim, actually. Sunset Beach, like a pipeline here. But again, this is sort of like, my sort of dream that one day I'll be able to swim in this huge waves. But I haven't done, I haven't achieved that much. And I really enjoyed being Hawaii, and the ocean and waves and the crest and everything seems to really balance with age themes painting that I was working on. So actually, these are all sort of related to balance. While I was working on age themes, in order to sort of balance my own sort of sanity, I painted wave paintings. So the wave paintings perhaps mean more when you can see in the context that I was working on, like, okay, these are not separated pieces. And plus that I always think that in Hawaii, we still have a beautiful ocean which is not really polluted. And when I was growing up in my hometown in Japan, near Hiroshima, my harbor town, which has a nice water, but eventually we couldn't swim because the water got polluted. And so just witnessing that kind of environmental issue, when I came to this country and then watched all this social changes, and the Santa Monica Beach lifeguard, I think several lifeguards in Santa Monica Beach got cancers, and the beach in Santa Monica doesn't really attract me to learn how to swim. It's such an unfriendly, polluted water. But anyway, I'm not going to go on forever, and so
We actually have 5 minutes, so if anybody would like to ask Masami a question about any of his works here.
Masami, tell us a little bit about what he's working on now.
Oh, right now I'm working on priest sexual abuse issue in global level, and this sort of it's my sort of personal interest, which started in 1990. And around 1990, I was pretty much through with Japanese and American cultural reference theme paintings. I think just because, I was evolving and I never really touched American theme only kind of paintings. And so when I started looking into American culture, and from my long, traveling experience in Europe, whenever I came across American people, I thought American people are, ready to confess their personal life immediately. That's our trip, I love that. We are crazy. I mean, comparing to British people or Japanese people, American people are much more sort of open to share their personal life stories. And so when I think about American culture, TV talk show, it really represent American attitude. American comes out on a well-lit stage and willing to share their most sort of profound stories in their lives, without getting embarrassed. That's us. Anyway, so when I started a confessional series, I call it 1990, and then so by the time when priest abuse issue exploded in Boston 2002, I was already sort of like tuned into this particular mode of theme. And I'm still keep pushing because the more I did research on Catholicism and religion and American history of puritanical background, and then where we are in Hollywood, these all sort of connect to each other. And somehow I just want to trace American cultural background, and when I traced it, I had to go back to the Vatican, where this sexual ethics is coming out. And then when I analyzed the Vatican's canon law and this and that, I felt like Vatican's theology is pretty much based on exclusively done for male structure. Male-dominated institution that I don't agree. And then so I have to sort of trace back where the Vatican got this idea. And then I have to go back to St. Augustine. And St. Augustine actually, he totally excluded women from the institution that he wanted to establish. And now, so the Vatican actually inherited pretty much of what St. Augustine established, maybe 3rd century, 4th century, or something like that. And I'm not against Catholic religion at all. If you go back to even 2,000 years ago, maybe Christ was much more inclusive kind of person who would share love and compassion. And I think that's great that if you are talking about religion, I feel that religion probably means compassion and love. But when you see today, when you see a religious group, they are killing each other. That's not good. I feel like God is totally abused for their own interest. And I don't feel, just belonging to religious group and then trying to exclude the rest of the whole society is a real big flaw, to my mind. Anyway, that's, I'm doing my own sort of research, so I'm still learning. just keep going through priest abuse issues, and I'm still learning American history and Western history at the moment. That's sort of what I'm doing right now. Okay. The question is when I decided to be an artist, or when I realized that I should be an artist. Actually, it's almost like drawing was part of myself. When I was a little kid, maybe 3 years old or something like that, and 4 years old, I grew up in a kimono store, and my parents were busy. And then meantime, I had a chalk, and then in fact, a drawing book by Hook size. I had it on the ground, and a cement floor with a chalk. I was drawing on the kimono store's ground. And so whoever comes to my parents' kimono store, they said, "Oh, this kid can draw." And so from there, my parents were so happy that, okay, my mother's side, there's a famous Japanese artist. His name is Chikyo Ono, or Chikyo Ono. Yeah, he's based in Kyoto. Anyway, so my dad was very supportive of me to pursue something that artistic. And then my dad was actually not interested in business at all. I mean, he inherited his kimono store from my grandpa, but he said, "Masami, I'm not into this kimono store at all. I don't want you to even succeed or inherit this business, but I want you to be a creative person, to be happy." That was his philosophy. And he himself was like, he wanted to be a musician. And his dream was crushed by his dad, because he was the first son of the family that he had to stay. But he wanted to come to the States when he was 18 years old. And so he and his body were trying to get their physical together, and sort of like doing exercise, the hammer and this and that. But totally, his dream was totally demolished. So at that time he said, I'm not going to do that to my son. He will have, 100% support. Whatever he wanted to do, he should do it. So that's where I'm coming from. Yeah. So I want you to be an artist. I want you to be artist. Being an artist is great. And especially today in this particular global environmental sort of a situation that no one can guarantee, no corporation can guarantee lifetime positions, and artists always goes up and down. As much as the people who have a regular job, they have to go up and down too. So it doesn't matter. I think the best way is, you need to do what you like to do, and forget the rest. What do you think?
Thank you very much, Masami. Thank you.